Welcome. Welcome to the Enlightenment Sangha, the path of the high heart. As we begin this evening, I would like us to meditate for 3 short songs, each about 3 minutes apiece. These are from a group called Zazen, which are my friends. And during this, I would like for you to meditate very high, almost, if you know where that little bone is right there, it's just right below that, just right adjacent to it. I want you to meditate on that spot. And what I would like for you to do during this meditation is when thoughts or feelings comes or questions or whatever, just put them in there and let them go, surrender, and go back into it. We're just here to just experience this particular spot for a while. It's a nice little place to go. So we're going to do 3 songs, and as I said, any feelings or anything come up, you just let them go in there. Put them inside there. They will dissolve. Absolutely. So. Stop your thought. Good. Take a breath. Relax. I was around 4 years old. When I first went into Samadhi. That was 64 years ago. Having been on this path of self-discovery, and was lucky enough to study with an enlightened teacher for over 30 years. Or 20 years while he was in the body, I guess. I've always been amazed that there's always something new and fresh. Just when you think you have it figured out, there's something fresh, a new insight comes. And it's almost like you're starting over again, but in a very happy way. I personally believe that when you get everything figured out and you refuse to open up to allowing any change to come, is that you have become stagnant and that your message becomes pretty predictable. So recently, I've had some new realizations about meditation that I did not know was there. Spent many years studying all the world religions. I've been a meditation teacher, a spiritual teacher, for over 30 years or so. It's been a long time. I've gone into Samadhi many times, hundreds of times. So when something new comes along, it's kind of a surprise. Kind of fun. It's like my life has been a puzzle. I've had all of these different pieces. I've had some puzzle pieces from the teachings of Don Juan and Carlos Castaneda. I've had the teachings of Hinduism, of Buddhism, Christianity, human potential movement back in the 80s, where I did a lot of workshops. I actually studied so many different things that I was given an honorary doctoral degree in awareness psychology. So I really have put myself out there, I think, to find out stuff. I've since ripped up that degree because I figured it was worthless. I don't need to be recognized. So recently, the insight has come And as that new insight has come in, things are starting, it's like these different pieces of the puzzle that you don't even think would fit together start to just magically fit together. Teachings of Don Juan, Alcoholics Anonymous and substance control, things that I have been aware of, new people that were in it, very good programs, Christianity, all of these things, studied them all. And I never thought they would fit together. But now for me, that's just starting to come together magically. And so I'm going to share that with you, at least some of it. And this evening I'm going to be talking a little bit about the movement of consciousness from the unconditional love of the unmanifested down into the dream of duality, and how we kind of move this around a little bit. So my thought is, or my way of approaching this, is to approach it from the top down. Up here, let's just say, pretending that up here is the void, up here is beyond words, because there are no words to describe it. It's beyond description. And the reason it's beyond description is because it is not caught up in time or space, and it has no points of reference. The only thing that it is, we could maybe describe it as being unconditional, because it doesn't have conditions. And the feeling that I have about it is love. So I say it's unconditional love. And as it comes down into each one of us as a sentient being, as we come down, we become dreamers. And then we start entering into ways of perceiving the world. We have the perception of the divine, unfettered, completely out of the world. And then we come down into the third eye and all the way down. And this awakening takes place, chakra after chakra after chakra, all the way to the root. And as long as you're in the body, you will be attached to the root chakra. That's why whenever you go into samadhi, or you go into a very deep meditation where you're just flying out there, you're inevitably going to be pulled back into the body, because you haven't died yet. Once your soul is unhooked from the root chakra, then you're gone. And I won't say you can't come back, but I will say it's a pretty fascinating thing to consider, because when that dissolves, your world dissolves. Your world as you've put it together. So when we're up here, and this is coming down, it is unconditional. It is without very much ego. You start getting a little ego here at the third eye. Oh, wow, this is interesting. I'm seeing other dimensions. I'm. That's the ego. So you get a little ego there, but not much. And it goes away from time to time. And we come down to the throat. The expression of our will and our intent. Very interesting spot. And then I've always just dropped right down into the heart, which is the center of your being. But in this new thought, I'm seeing this area here completely different, because I discovered something for me that was an impossible discovery. I don't know of anyone else that's found this. I found a spot in the high heart that is the void. It has no points of reference. It is unconditional love. It is the manifestation of that divine unconditional love at a personal level. When I discovered this, I thought, wow, that's interesting. Why did I miss it before? Well, the reason I missed it before, because it doesn't feel like anything. It has no conditions. In order to feel something, it has to have a condition. This doesn't have a condition. It has no feeling. It has no particular color. It has no mantra. It is the unmanifest. And so it was real easy to pass over it. Just go from the mid-heart right up to the throat. Miss it altogether. You don't even know it's there. But now you do. And don't expect it to look like anything or feel like anything, because it's not conditional. It doesn't have those conditions. So then, as my consciousness is inevitably being pulled down toward the root, it enters into the 4 areas of the heart. And I find this area here in the heart to be very interesting. In mysticism and in many of the world's religions, they talk about the way that we manifest spirit. In Hinduism, I would say that these areas are manifested within inside of us, all of them. And that this part up here that is nothing is associated with the yoga of Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga is not this. If it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, then it's a dream. So they go around saying, not this, not this, not this, not this. It can be and it is very unemotional. It has really no emotions. Those are conditions. And then as we move down into the heart, to the right, we have Shakti, power, occultism. And this part of our being wants power. It wants to gain power. It wants to quit losing power. And it wants to use that power for its own use. It's a very powerful chakra. But it also has its issues, in that it tends not to be very compassionate. It actually tends to be pretty selfish. It can be a little ruthless. And it's lacking totally of compassion. On the other side of the heart, however, is Karma Yoga, which is selfless giving. It's not interested in holding on. It's not interested in keeping anything. It's interested in giving everything away. It is selfless giving. So we have Shakti, Karma, Jnana, and the opposite of Jnana, which has no feeling and no anything really, is Bhakti. And Bhakti is love, unconditional love. You say, wow, that sounds a lot like Jnana, but it has the color of emotion, because it's very close to the emotional center here. It has the color of emotion and color. And people get caught up here, they become devotees. They become caught up in the feeling of this emotional love, which is exquisite. So Our existence is caught in the middle of these four winds, these four powers. We have developed ourselves in certain ways. Maybe you've developed your power, but maybe you haven't learned how to selflessly give things away. Maybe you've developed this coldness and this computer-like approach to everything, and you've missed out on the beauty of bhakti, of love. Or maybe you've gotten so caught up in love that you can't let go of your view of it. You can't let go of the emotions. So we have the four yogas: Shakti, Bhakti, Karma, Jnana. As we become aware of each of these four natures inside of us, we seek to become complete. If we become one-sided in our power, we live a very unbalanced life. If I give everything away, keeping nothing from myself, with no discrimination whatsoever, I end up with nothing, and I can't help people because I've given it all away. I've just frivolously given it away. If I'm caught up in Jnana Yoga, in the lower Jnana Yoga, it's very unemotional. It's like a computer program. Has no feeling. But when I combine it with bhakti love, and I move away from being a devotee, I move away from all that surfy stuff, but I start mixing this up, balancing up myself inwardly, gaining power because I need power to get through life, learning to give selflessly to the Dharma. So I take this power and I take this giving, and through Jnana Yoga of discrimination and with the love that I get from bhakti, I live my life. And together, all of them together, is what Don Juan called being a nahual. You're not an apprentice. You're not featured on one or the other. You are a complete spiritual being, realized inside your heart. From the heart down, from the mid-heart down, you have moved from unity, from being just one power, just down, into duality, into eating of the knowledge of good and evil. We have created a world down here of opposites. Down here is the realization of hot and cold, in and out, hard and soft, sweet and sour, you go all the way down. And in this resides our ego, and you can always tell it's an ego because it's always using its name, I. I believe this, I believe that, I believe the other. And this is basically where we're at down here. So when you bring the teachings down from this unmanifested and through your heart and all of the different yogas that you have here, and you move into the world of language and communication in duality, it becomes problematic because this is the dojo of the ego. This is where it's always trying to define itself. I'm here, you're there. I'm up here, you're down there. I'm good, you're bad. You believe like I do, you're my friend. You know. If you adore me, then we're in love, type thing. It's all Ego, 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 ego. Now when you die, you unhook from the root chakra and your consciousness rises up. All of the power, all of your life, everything in your life just comes right up. That's why people many times will have their whole life pass before them in a near-death experience. I've had that happen a couple of times to me. So it comes up, but when it gets to the heart, an interesting happens at death. The ego dies with the body. But you, from here up, you're eternal. And since you have the power, you will manifest another world, another creation. You are, after all, in the image and likeness of all of creation. So you create your own world again. And in that new creation, all of the things that you've worked out previously, like maybe being selfish or being able to be honest, to be helpful, those things you'll take with you. And those things that maybe you didn't work out, where maybe you're jealous or you're controlling or something of that nature, you'll take that with you. That'll all be manifested in your new body, along with a new language, a new society, a new family, a new everything, but all of the core elements will be there because nothing is ever lost in eternity. And we live in a world of illusion. So we have to do a constant evaluation of ourselves. We have to see, what part of my being do I need to develop here? Maybe you're really strong occultly. Maybe you're really strong to manifest and get this and make that person do that. And you're really good at manipulating and controlling or rebelling. One of my favorites. So now you need to work on that. So how do I work on that? Well, I need to draw on the other yogas. I need to draw on selfless giving. I found it kind of fascinating when I studied with my teachers that he took people who were working in flower shops and metaphysical bookstores and health food stores, and he moved them to Wall Street where they were making huge amounts of money. He had them take computer science, and he saw that that was a good program to get into because it was able, you could take a 3-month course, learn how to program and make good money. So he had all of his students do that. So they would build up their power financially. And there was a big push during that to get the occult going, to get this power going. And it came at a cost. It came at a cost of being overpowering the other 3 yogas. So what he did, now these people are going up and they're making, 100,000 more a year. He just raised the tuition to $1,000 a month. And you think, oh my God, that's a lot. But you have to understand, they're all making better than $100,000 a year. So $10,000 a month is, reasonable if you're making, $1,000 a month is reasonable if you're making $100,000 a year. It actually should be $1,200 a month. But people got into the power so much that they couldn't give to the Dharma seamlessly. Many of them could not. They could not pay their student fees without feeling resentment or feeling like their teacher was full of greed or all of these things. So how do you deal with these things? You have to make people give to balance themselves up, and they don't want to do that. They want to hold on to their stuff. I don't want to pay taxes. I want good roads. I want good schools. I want a nice highly trained, compassionate police force, all of these things, lights on the street, but I don't want to pay taxes. That's when you're overdeveloped in your occult. You just want what you don't want to give. When you're over here and just giving and giving without any discrimination at all, you have nothing. You live a life of abject poverty, and when something comes up and you could actually do something with your power, you could actually help somebody, you don't have it to give. We don't want to get caught up in any of these. We want to balance them. I want to take the balance of discrimination, combine it with love, and use that to balance out with discrimination and love my use of power and how I can selflessly give to the greater good. And your life is how you're doing that. All of you are doing this. This isn't something you have to do. You're already doing it. But because you have been doing this unconsciously, you don't realize where you're stuck. You think that the answers to all of your desires and everything can be found down here in duality. If I just get the bigger job, if I just get the right relationship, if I just take the right drug, if I just find the right sexual partner, if I do, everything is going to be so wonderful. And this down here is always changing. You'll get it, you'll be happy for a while. It's a hungry ghost. You get it, you have it, you love it, it's wonderful, then it just goes away. That brand new car that you bought, that you polish and wax every day, 3 months later needs a car wash, and you'll get around to it one of these days. That's the samsara. That's this duality. True peace, true love is found here. When you surrender yourself to unconditional love. And from that springs forth compassion. From that springs forth a gentleness. We're in a world full of aggression, where people are saying, you've got to go out and do it. You've got to be very aggressive. What about being gentle? What about actually having a loving concern for everyone you meet, even those people who cut you off in traffic? This is not what we're taught. We're taught to do one thing, or we get into a religious organization where everything is just bhakti, bhakti. Oh, I love Yogananda, or I love Sai Baba, or I love, name your teacher. And you hold enlightenment away from you in the form of your teacher. And now you're in duality. But in this path, the path of enlightenment, of the high heart, we pull that teacher right here and redissolve him or her into their true nature, which is unconditional love. And then we manifest that teacher's awareness or whatever in our life. And we start working to gain control of our greed, to gain control of our fear of losing. So we have to keep all of it, we're so stuck there. And we also have to take account of all of the things that when we let things go, are we letting them go in the proper way? Are we contributing to the delinquency of others, to quote Al-Anon? So we have to watch how we give. Traditionally, it's thought a good idea to support your spiritual awakening, to support the path of your spiritual awakening, your teacher, your church, or whatever. Traditionally, that usually is 10% of your gross, not your net. Oh, but I can't give that much money. Okay, where are we stuck at here? Or, I'll give it all, I'll give it all. No, you have to have a life. Balance. It's the razor's edge. We will be neither attracted nor repulsed. We're moving into the space of no conditions. And from that, we are aligning ourselves with our true nature, which is the nature of the infinite. All the world's religions, as far as I can see, kind of say the same thing. But there's one basic difference between the world religions. In Buddhism, there is no God as the Jews or the Christians or the Muslims believe. They believe in a personal God outside of them that sends energy and awareness and love down to its followers and basically makes life hell for everybody else. But I'm more aligned with this Buddhist thing, where I just see it as energy, divine, complete, perfect energy coming down and then manifesting in this dualistic world through these 4 yogas. Traditionally, it's been said that all these 3 yogas, Shakti, Bhakti, and Karma, will take you up to the border of enlightenment. But it's only when you get to Jnana Yoga that you cross over into enlightenment itself. And you need to develop these other 3 perfectly as you approach this. So that's why this is new. I've been teaching meditation since decades. I've studied with enlightened teachers. I've sat with many enlightened teachers. I've had enlightened teachers take me into this vastness. I had Amaji hug me and just pull me right through here into this enlightenment. I sat with my teacher as he would just pull us all into that non-physical awareness. But I was not aware of this until just a couple of months ago. So this is new. I find it to be profound. This is not a message for everybody. I realize that. You have to do what you have to do. But in this path, it's the path of balance. It's the path of gaining power and keeping your power, not just frittering it away, but not letting it rule your life either. It's about learning how to give selflessly of yourself, as much as you can, without depleting everything so you can't have a little left to give to somebody else down the road. A little discrimination there. You have to develop that bhakti love. I don't like devotees, but I will say that when you first begin the path, that's usually how you begin as a devotee. I certainly was that way with my teacher. I was a devotee of him. He hated devotees, but there I was. I just loved everything about him. Still do. But here, all of this, focused on this, will take you into enlightenment. Very quickly. Within months. The only thing that's keeping you from having that is that you haven't balanced yourself and you haven't surrendered everything to Spirit. My teacher said quite correctly that enlightenment is easy. You just have to want it more than anything. Now, my friends, things are from the heart down. Things happen in duality. But we have to want this more than the world itself. Christ said, "What does it profit a man if he gains the whole world but loses his soul?" We don't want to get lost here. We want enlightenment. You have to want it more than anything, and that can be kind of hard for people because we're so attached to things. Our whole life is full of things. Our ego is all about things. It defines who we are and what we are and where we live and where we don't want to live and all of the people we want to hang out with and all the people we can't stand. All of the ego down here. We'll gather up people who believe like we do and we'll hold them tight and we'll fight anybody that's not like us. Hell worlds. Are you willing to give up everything? Don Juan talked about the man of knowledge, in which he said the man of knowledge has no family or friends, no country, no honor, no dignity. All he has is a life to be lived. And you, my friends, have a life to be lived. Understand that it is a folly. These dreams end when you die, for you. And it changes everybody else's dreams too when you die. That's why death is such a traumatic thing for us. That's why people avoid it at all costs. They don't, their ego just can't let go of the idea that it's not going to exist anymore. But the essence that is you, the true you, that is the power behind that ego, will always be. But we don't want to give up on these things. We don't want to give up on our families, and I certainly want to keep my dignity and my honor. Well, then I guess you're not quite ready for enlightenment. But don't get down on yourself. You will be drawn into enlightenment eventually. I'm just working with people who are pretty excited about escaping the hell world. People who are letting go of their attachments. In my life, I've given up my sons. I went to New York. I told them, I'm not your father anymore. I'm a monk. To this day, they rarely call me father or dad. They just call me by my name. I gave them up. I've given them up several times. They're still in my life. And I love them. They love me. We're doing great. But I don't have to control their life anymore. I'm not responsible. They are, as it should be. Give it up. I'm telling you. it's worth it. I know you can't imagine it. Do it on your own. You don't have to do it publicly. Just at home. Every night when everybody's asleep, maybe 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you set your little alarm or whatever, you get up and you just sit up in your bed and you just focus here. And when anything comes up, you just let it dissolve, and then you breathe out what its true nature is. It's not all of that pain or all of that horror. It is unconditional love. So when I take that pain or those horrific feelings and I pull them in here, they don't have anything to stick to. That's the interesting thing about this particular area. It is a void. They go in there and they're trying to stick to something. Something frightens you. It's grabbing hold of something in you so that it can make you feel threatened. There's nothing in here to be threatened. You can take the demons from hell, the poltergeist that's coming out of the wall, put them in here, and they can't do anything. There's nothing there. They are nothing. And then when you breathe out, you don't necessarily feel anything, because there's no feeling, but your intention is to fill that space with this unconditional love. Before, it was horrible, it was terrible, it was angry, it was upsetting. I'm breathing out now the true nature of the universe. Unconditional love onto that situation. And I keep doing it until all I feel is love concerning it. It does not change. This is not prayer. Prayer wants things to change. It wants people to get well. It wants them to get a job. It wants them to get married or to get a divorce or whatever. This isn't that. This is taking all of those things, dissolving them and filling it with unconditional love, and then stopping your thought. So it goes like this. My little dog is sick. He's not really, but let's say he is. And I hold him there. And I just let him go. Let him sink in. And then I breathe out into that space that I had before. All of the angst and all of the worry and all of the concern I had about him. I breathe onto that unconditional love. And once I do that, stop my thought. So it goes kind of like this. And you hold that point of no thought until your root chakra starts pulling you back down into the samsara again. And if you go back down into the samsara and that issue is still there, you do it again. You keep doing it until when you see that issue, all you see is the manifestation of unconditional love being played out in this dream. And you know that the basic nature, the basic core of every single thing is coming forth from an unconditional love. We as human beings, or as sentient beings, drop into the samsara, into duality, and we take that unconditional love and we put all kinds of conditions. That's what this is. We have color, smell, we have all of these 5 senses. And our mental capacity to put it all together. So we have 6 senses, and probably 7 or 8. So anyway, I invite you to do this practice. I think if you do this consistently with everything that bothers you, with everything that angers you, with everything that frightens you, after you've done this 10,000 times, you will be nothing but unconditional love, walking around on this planet, having an incredibly fine life. When you get rid of the shadow material, it will be full of light. You will become enlightened. Good. Okay, take a breath. Let's move down below the high heart now. Breathe it down. Think of your root chakra, you'll go down. Relax. I've presented a lot of ideas. And I was wondering if any of you had any comments, questions, or concern about this. It is new. I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't. Yes?
Does it have to be things that you take from your lower heart into your upper heart?
Yeah, you have to take all of it up. Angst is one of the things that the ego hangs on to. It's so worried. You know, we get worried about our children or our pets or our finances. I deal with angst a lot. I do. I have questions sometimes as a monk, and I'm working to change this. But as a monk, I just give everything away. I've developed a lot of power, and I just give everything away, and I'm in love and everything else, but I tend not to have much. So sometimes when I'm planning, my ego plans, well, we'll go here, we'll have an event, and then that'll give us money to pay our bills. And then I go there and it doesn't happen. I get this, so then I say, yeah, wait, pull it up. I'm not pulling it up so I'll have more money. I'm pulling it up to get rid of that feeling, because that feeling does not exist in unconditional love. And if you're doing this practice and you can't let go of it, you're not pushing it into that spot and holding it there enough. It will eventually, a lot of this is like concrete. I used to do construction, and we'd have a sidewalk that was going to break up with a sledgehammer. And we'd get out there and hit it with that sledgehammer as hard as we could, and there'd just be a little bit of dust come up, just a little bit of dust. Not hard, nothing's happening. We're hitting it. 10, 15 minutes of slam and slam and slam. And then one slam, you just kind of maybe heave it half as hard as you did before, and the whole thing just goes at once. That's how this works. You bring these things up, and nothing's happening, but you just keep bringing it up and bringing it up and bringing it up and breathing out, unconditional love, breathing it up until it goes. And all that's left is your life and the life of those you're looking, and you're seeing them through the eyes of unconditional love being made manifest in everything. You see how people are taking this unconditional love and turning it in on each other and themselves and creating their little worlds, and you want to do something about it, but you can't do anything with them unless they will listen. So then you just have compassion.
But what I was referring to, what if, last night,
Yeah.
when you spoke of seeing my mother now in the meditation.
Yeah.
That feels really good.
Mm-hmm.
To
Yeah.
think that.
Yeah.
Okay. So today, when I was thinking about it, instead of bringing up my sadness about it,
Right.
I found that I was bringing up this, well, I'm going to say joy. Or,
Yeah.
So it wasn't angst.
No, that's not angst. What happens when everything comes into alignment, when you get away from duality? For me, and for, I would say, you hate to use a universal thing for anything, but I would say that it's reasonable to see, and it's been my experience, that I experience a sense of joy. What's there to be upset about? You know, your mother had an amazing life. She did a lot of good. She brought you in here, and you're continuing your life with your daughter and all of these things. I mean, life is a cycle. It has, the waves come in, the waves go out, you know. And I'm on a wave that's going out. There's been a couple of waves come after me, you know, so I'm watching this happen. But I have compassion now. I feel two things. I feel joy. Actually, I feel three things. I feel joy. I feel peace that goes beyond understanding. It is a peace that you can't say, well, why, how can you have peace about this? You know, look what's going on, what's going on? And you say, it's fine. For me, I see nothing but God here. If I were a Christian, I would say I've taken, you know, the blood of Christ and put it on everything. I've taken enlightenment and put it on everything. I've taken the Buddha or put it on everything. You name it, I could name anything I want, but it's beyond that. But there is peace, joy, and compassion. And when you live a life of peace, joy, and compassion, and you give up the aggression in your life and you start focusing more on being gentle. Instead of being aggressive, you're gentle. I find that in this world there's very little focus on being gentle. And what a wonderful way to be. You know, aggression creates conflict. Gentleness is soft. And we can be gentle because we recognize that when people are being aggressive or they're being contrary, we can see through it. We can say, oh my gosh, look at them, they're still caught up in their power, or they're still caught up in their poverty where they just give everything away. They don't have anything, they never have anything. You know, balance. Does that kind of make sense to you? So what you did when we did this process with your mother, now, and I saw her, you know, she's just finishing up her life meditating. That's all she's doing now. Her samsaric self has gone away. Her higher self is finishing doing a little laundry going on underneath there. She's letting go of her attachments to this world, one piece at a time. And she's actually going to be letting go of her children, one piece at a time. But she's still there. And when her body goes, that part will be there. But right now, she's dying. She's been dying for months. Things are going away, and she's in meditation letting them go. It's us that watch it, that think, oh my God, she's suffering so bad, she's not, well, no, it's not like that at all. You can project that on it and create that as being around it, so when you walk in the room, that's what you feel, or you can not do that and walk in as if you're walking into a room, into some yogi's cave who will not even talk to you now. They've worked through it.
I don't really look at that she's suffering because she doesn't know so much I suffer.
Yes, now we come back to this is what you have to deal with. Yours, and this is the point. We don't change things outside of us. Those are conditions. This is unconditional. I'm changing me. I'm changing how I feel when a circumstance comes up. I'm dealing with things inside of me. We all deal with all of these unresolved energetics that are born in conflict and confusion, and we become very possessive and jealous and envious and afraid and terrified, all this stuff, I'm finding this to be a very fun path to be on, I've had several people, by the way, recently call up and say they had poltergeists in the room or they were being tormented by demons. That can be pretty frightening. But could you consider sitting in the middle of that poltergeist and just moving everything in here? And you know it's there because you don't feel it. If you're feeling pain, if you're feeling fear, if you're feeling doubt, you haven't moved it up to the right spot yet. And if you remain there, you're just going to empower it. So it's very important. Now, this is very important that you find this spot, that you meditate on it all the time so that you become very familiar with it. You say, oh, it's just a figment of my imagination because I don't feel anything. Of course you're not going to feel anything. Just do it and see if it changes. If it doesn't change for you, if it doesn't make a change in your life, then go to another path. But I kind of think this is going to work. It's working for everybody I know. But, I have a pretty small circle of friends, acquaintances. So to say it's good for 7 billion people on the earth, that's a big statement. But I find it fascinating that I've been meditating in spiritual discovery for many, many, many decades, longer than most people who are listening to this or being here or have even been alive. And this is new. And I think it's quite profound. And I think it's something that can be easily observed. When people do this enough, they become more compassionate. When they do this enough, they become more gentle. When they do this enough, they tend to smile more and be happy. There's so much to be happy about. Wow, did you see these? Wow. Really? I love flowers. I have a friend that when this evening is over, because he's having some issues, I'm going to have these very flowers taken over to him. So he'll have something from a meditation. A group of people who've meditated, that energy is here, who's put it into his little room. Selfless giving takes many forms. Good, thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
In each yoga, what would you say are the major blockers to be mindful or to conquer?
The major blocks of each of these yogas is an over-focus on that particular yoga. So if you're really focused on power and occultism, then you start becoming out of balance, and your selfless giving and your bhakti and your jnana kind of go away after a while. You have no discrimination. You're just pushing out, casting spells, trying to rearrange the chaos. This can be very, very problematic. Selfless giving, if you over-focus on it, You never have anything. See, I'm kind of falling into a lot of these. I've got all of these overdeveloped in me. So I'm constantly having to balance them with the opposite. The opposite of no feeling, of no nothing, no anything. The opposite of that is bhakti, which is nothing but feeling and love and this softness. Oh, just love bhakti. And that's not up here. Love is there in unconditional love, but it's not this emotional, lovely, poetic, romantic love that we as human beings love, as I could say. So we have, and you can't just be in jnana. If you're up here just not this, not this, not this, pretty soon it's just dead. There's no music, there's no nothing that, you're just trying to float up. So I think we have to balance ourselves. And you have to do an inner assessment of yourself. Where am I overpowered and where am I underpowered? If I'm feeling a lot of financial difficulties, I'm probably overpowered in my occult. Because if I'm feeling financial difficulties, I'm not going to give anything away. I'm saving. See, I've got to control what I do. So I've got to then start consciously giving of myself. Maybe not giving of money, if that's the issue, but at least giving something selflessly. It's almost like a Christian thing, right? Right? All right. Strange. I hate it when I suddenly become a Christian unexpectedly. But that's okay. I don't hate that. I actually love it. Everything in my life, there has not been any wasted motion. I've studied all of these religions, all of these different weird things like Yaqui mysticism and all of these different things. My teacher took me through Zen. He took me through Tibetan Buddhism. He took me through all of the yogas. I mean, we went through everything. Oh my God, I've studied in the United School of Religion, where we studied all the major religions of the world. I spent 2 years doing that. I've had a lot of different things, and I'm finding that they're all kind of coming together in a very strange way, in a very magical way, in a way that will make a difference, not only in my life, but in the lives of those who are serious enough to actually try it. And I'm saying you should try it for a while. Don't just try it once or twice. Give it a couple of months. Try it 2 or 3 months. Just keep pulling things up. Well, this is the dumbest thing I ever did, but I'm going to do it again. So you keep doing it, right? And then see what happens. I think you'll find it's almost immediate. This is really cool. If I'd have known this 40 years ago, wow. So, there you go. Does that answer your question? Yes. Anyone else? All right. We're going to meditate to one more piece of music, and then during this one we're going to play with the music. So just let the music run throughout your body. It's all right. It's good music. I'm going to stay focused on my mid-heart, but I'm also going to be opening up all of my chakras, all of them, all the way up. I'm going to open them all up, but it's all also going to be here constant. So I'm going to do things at once, here and all the chakras. So just go with me with the music. Watch, stop your thought. Good luck. Namaste.